All right, Dr. Ryan here, back from Rev Health and Wellness. If you are watching this video, you probably have limited mobility. It could be in your ankle, your hip, your knee, your back, your shoulder, your wrist, somewhere, and you've tried some drills to make it improve, but it hasn't gotten better. So, commonly what I see in the clinic is there's a few different reasons why it doesn't get better. And I want to outline the two most common reasons that someone's mobility doesn't improve. So they can be doing the exact right drill to get their shoulder overhead mobility better, but if you don't follow a system and have some steps in place, it doesn't improve, especially when it's been going on for a long period of time. So let's work through an example. The number one reason I see why people's mobility doesn't improve is they don't spend enough time working on it. In order to make tissue adaptation, whether it's muscles and especially joints, it takes a long time to get the tissue to adapt. So we need at least 1 to 2 minutes of time under tension in a specific direction or a specific muscle to make some change. Commonly what I see is people working for 10, 15 seconds right at the beginning of their workout to try to get their shoulder to move overhead, and then they're frustrated that it won't move overhead. We have years and years of movements limiting our overhead mobility. It's not going to go away in 10 or 15 seconds. We need to spend some time under tension in order to get it moving in the right direction. Once someone's spending enough time doing the right drill, the third thing is wasting the window where we get more mobility. So whether it's foam rolling, end range oscillations, some banded mobility, all of those drills give us a short window where we move better. We know that it's going to revert back to where it was before, and therefore it's extremely important to use whatever new ranges of motion we get in that 2-minute time span. The analogy I use a lot is it's like saving your Word document. So if you don't use your motion, you're not saving your Word document and you're starting from scratch every time you try to work on your mobility. So I use like a 3-step process when I work with someone. I try to, let's work on shoulder overhead mobility. That'll be the example. We want to open it, isolate it, integrate it. So in that order, let me talk about what that means. Right after you do some soft tissue work, we try to open it. So for the shoulder, we could go against the wall and try to lean forward. Try to get it moving in whatever direction you're limited. Hopefully after a couple minutes, we start to get a little bit more range of motion. Then we need to isolate it. Doing some end range strengthening in that new range of motion will just help us save each time so we're not starting from scratch. So for the shoulder, we try to get our overhead mobility better for 2 minutes. Then we spend some time doing some band work, working backwards into this range of motion to get all of those little muscles firing to help it save. And then the third step, and the part that I see probably most commonly missed, is people not integrating it. So what do I mean by that? If your shoulder overhead mobility is limited and the only lifts you do are back squat and push-ups, you are not saving your Word document. So we opened our overhead mobility, we did some rotator cuff isolated strengthening, then during our lifting or whatever workout we're doing, we need to do some type of loaded activity, whether it's a barbell push press, an overhead squat, some type of drill that's loaded, that stresses our tissues at their end range of motion. That's the most important step that I see that people miss it. So that doesn't have to be complicated. We don't have to spend 20 or 30 minutes to get our mobility better. It can be done as a warm-up, which I have another video on, but open it, isolate it, and integrate it will help save that Word document. Still having problems and need help with specific mobility drills to do, let me know. I'd love to help.